This video is going to be another one of my discussion style videos, and I really like these videos because we just sit and talk about different aspects of riding, mountain biking, gravel riding. And in this one, I want to talk about why I've decided to stop cross-country racing, at least for a while, maybe indefinitely. I'm not sure at this point. Earlier this year, I made some videos of how I was getting back into cross-country racing and training, and now I've decided that I'm not going to continue that, and I want to talk about why. Now, I've been racing for a really long time, and I think that everybody should race a bicycle at some point in their riding career, whether it's enduro, downhill, cross-country, cyclocross, gravel. Racing gives you a new perspective on riding. It gives you focus. It gives you a focus on your training. It just really develops your skills. You're riding at a pace that you probably wouldn't ride at most of the time. And it just allows you to really develop as a rider. But I'm at the point right now where because of my life being so busy, it actually became less fun and more stressful to race. I have really moved up in my racing over the years, and what I found about racing is once you get to a certain level, you have to be consistent with racing. And I'm at the point in my life where I just can't do that. My family commitments on the weekends, my job, my YouTube channel, and just riding, just having fun, are becoming so crowding in my schedule in a good way, right? I'm not complaining at all. I love my life. But I just can't put in racing and put in the time that I would like to be able to do as well as I want to do. And I think I've said this before in one of my videos, but once you get to that point where you're standing on the top step of the podium, it's really hard to settle for less. The type of racing that I really have enjoyed over the years is cross-country mountain bike racing and cyclocross. I really got into cyclocross years ago and loved it and stayed consistent with it throughout the season. It's a shorter season, and I like the training aspect because you didn't have to go out and train, for hours and hours. You could train for an hour, a few days a week at hard efforts and be fine. But cyclocross died in my area, which is really too bad because once that happened, I honestly started to lose my interest in racing. I tried to get it back up with cross country and I just couldn't do it. I think gravel kind of killed cyclocross in our area, and I think I've heard from other people that in other parts of the country. So let me know in the comments below if that happened in your area. I'd just love to hear it. It's really a shame because gravel and cyclocross could really complement each other. And the training side of cyclocross, the endurance side of gravel riding, and they could just complement each other. I'll just leave it at that. Because I only have about 8 to 10 hours a week to train, I don't want to have most of those hours be focused on some kind of interval session or zone 2 or whatever. And let me go off on a little tangent here. This is a discussion, free form. It's not scripted at all. I have really come to love zone 2 riding. My typical type of riding now is when I'm on the gravel bike, I'm doing zone 2. When I'm on a mountain bike, just the nature of the trails being more hilly, I'm doing just harder efforts on the mountain bike. I love doing mountain bike time trials, even though I don't race anymore cross country. Now I am going to continue some endurance racing, but I'll talk about that in a minute. Even though I don't race, I love doing mountain bike time trials, and I love pushing hard on the mountain bike. I just love it. And I also love getting out on long gravel rides and just not worrying about any kind of interval session, just keeping it in a certain zone where I can ride 4 or 5 hours and still feel good the rest of the day. And so that's kind of been my MO lately for my type of riding. So back to what I was saying, because you only have a compact amount of time to train in a week, if all of that is focused on intervals and whatever, you can get burnt out. And I heard someone say years ago, I forgot who said it, maybe Jans Voigt or someone in the professional ranks, said that everybody is born with a certain number of suffer credits. And once you use those up, you're done. Meaning, you know, in professional bike racing, when you're young, you just get out there and you just push as hard as you want and recover. But after a while, you do that over and over and over and over again, that hard riding, you can kind of get burnt out if you're not careful. And I won't say that I was getting burnt out, but when I did my last race, and I just didn't do near as well as I thought I would have with all the training that I was putting in, that's when I said, what am I going to do? Am I going to train harder? Am I going to train more? I can't train more. Am I going to travel more on the weekends? And for me, there's no better way to train than race. Racing into shape is it's real. And so in order to be consistent, in order to do well, you need to be consistent and go to every race that you possibly can. And the guys that can do that, they just pull away. You know, I could just say I'm just going to race for the fun of it, but to me, I want to focus now on riding. I want to test bikes. I want to get up to the mountains as much as I possibly can. As you know, if you follow my channel, I live in Florida for now. Going back to that, Zone 2, I've come to appreciate where I live more after I've really gotten into Zone 2, because you can do some serious long Zone 2 rides here. Even though there are hilly sections, being able to just go for these long Zone 2 rides, it's really made me appreciate more where I live. But back to what I was saying, I want to get up into the mountains more. I just want to ride. I just want to enjoy being on a bike, whether I'm pedaling easy, pedaling hard, chasing someone down. Now, I will say that I'm probably going to continue doing gravel events. We have a lot of local gravel events. In fact, I had one yesterday that I had to miss because we had our work Christmas party. But I want to do more gravel events. I want to do endurance races. I really like the endurance races. I'm not going to train for them. I'm just going to get out there and do it. Since we're having a discussion about racing, one thing that you have to be careful about with racing is it can be a very self-centered activity. And again, this is something I say carefully. Most of the guys that I know are really good guys, girls that I race with and ride with. But I've seen it, and you've seen it in people here and there, and where it's all about them, it's all about their training, and you have to push off events and say no to a bunch of stuff, and you know, not do stuff with family because you got to race or you got to train that day. But just mentally, if you're just focused on your advancement, and I say this really carefully because there's a very healthy side of doing that, of being better as a person, so you can be more engaged in other areas of your life. But racing can be very self-centered, and all of us who race have fallen into that at some point in their lives. And so I'm at the point now where my family activities are so prominent, like all the time now, which is great. I love it. There's things going on in our kids' lives that's very exciting. I just don't want to miss that. Don't want to miss it. And if I was really, really focusing on training and traveling for races all the time, I'd miss it. And so that's probably a big part of why I've decided to stop really focused on racing and again do gravel events, do endurance races. And I'll say that the races here in Florida are put on by an organization called Gone Riding. They are some of the most organized events you will ever do. Again, I recommend anybody out there who is riding, just race. And if you're just starting out, honestly, that's when it's the most fun, when you just don't care about your results. Like, I've got some kayaks over there, and I've thought about doing like a kayak race. If I ever entered a kayak race, I wouldn't care at all how I did, because I have zero expectations. If I win, great. If I get last place, so what? I do it for fun. And so if you've never raced, get in, just do some. You're gonna have a blast. You might not finish your first race, no big deal. You might completely blow up in the first 10 minutes. That's how you learn. That's why racing is so good. It just teaches you about your body and develops your skills. So starting to ramble a little bit. But anyway, I just wanted to put out this video to kind of explain why you're not seeing my cross-country racing videos and discussions like I said I was going to do earlier in the year. But man, I love riding bikes. I love riding gravel and mountain bikes, and that will not stop. In fact, I'll probably be riding more, because here's the thing about racing is everything is prescribed almost. And you know, sometimes you're riding less in a week, and sometimes you may want to go out and just hit it hard on a mountain bike trail, but it's not in the schedule. So when you're not regimented with the type of riding you're supposed to do that day, it kind of frees you up a little bit. So, but then were seasons in my life where I love that structure. I'm in a season now where I don't want the structure because other areas of my life are very structured. So that's it for this video. Would love to hear your comments below. Anything that you've gone through mentally about racing. Have you thought about getting into racing? Have you been racing for 30 years? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear some feedback from all of you out there. And I'll catch you in the next video. Thanks for watching.